I don't know if you can actually grasp grief without having gone through grief yourself. Hey guys, I'm Stephanie Harrison. Welcome to my channel. And if you would take the time to like this video and subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it. We're going to be talking about grief. I've just recently, in the past year, actually 11 months, my husband passed away on March the 6th in 2023. And then just a month ago, my son Chris passed away from a heart attack. And so, I was thinking about how I would like to talk to you one-on-one about grief. What would that look like? We all deal with grief in some kind of way, whether it's the loss of a loved one, whether it's sometimes we can just lose something in our life and feel sick about it because it was something that was very important to us. Then, there could be divorce, broken relationships, and it's all grief, right? And so I just want to talk about ways that we can get through grief. And I would like for you to take this journey with me and let's work on it together. When I'm a teacher, and I've taught theology, I've taught in Bible studies, I've taught in Bible schools, marriage conferences for many, many years. And, I'm sad to say right now that I've taught on grief, and I literally thought I knew what I was talking about. But I have discovered some new things in my life that I don't know if you can actually grasp grief without having gone through grief yourself. And it seems to me, with the different things I've gone through in my life and have handled grief in certain areas of my life, I want to say that none of them has been as hard in my life as losing a husband and then losing a son within 10 months of each other, 10 months and 16 days to be exact. I've been keeping a little journal, and I write in this journal. I like to write quotes, and often I just write a little letter about grief and just write out of my heart. And here's one thing that I wrote about grief, just a simple little quote, and it says, "I never understood it until now. Now I understand." It makes me have compassion for other people. When someone's told me that they've lost a loved one, or they're going through a divorce, or they've been separated from someone through a broken relationship that they really love, I can certainly identify with that now. So what are the tools that I've actually been finding to help myself? And I will tell you, I've been digging really deep to find some answers. A lot of people have given me books, and I really do appreciate that. You can listen to podcasts on grief, and, you can find different ways to be ministered to in the area of grief. But one thing that I have found in my life is that my foundation of my belief system is what's been helping me through grief in my life. And the foundation is actually the Word of God, because I have spent my lifetime studying God's Word and learning about heaven, learning about who Christ is in my life. And those are the things that have been the stabling factor in my life. In talking to you about grief, I want to talk to you first of all about 4 kinds of love. Because I feel like that if we can discover what love is, we can discover a little bit about grief in our lives. And many of us have done a study, and we've learned that there's 4 kinds of love, 4 types of love that describe in philosophy, which includes phileo love, storge love, eros love, and agape love. I don't know if you're familiar with those terms, but I want to talk to you just a second about these 4 kinds of love. It's real important. First of all, the phileo kind of love is a love that says, hey, you know what? I'll scratch your back if you'll scratch mine. Or it is a brotherly love. It is a friendship kind of love. It's a love that's warm. It's a love that is affectionate. It's a love that is kind. And, when we have friends that we really adore, we love and we have a lot in common with them. We find that a friendship love is a great kind of love to have. And if you're married, of course, marriage starts out with a friendship kind of love, doesn't it? And storge is a natural love that a family has. That would be the kind of love between a parent and a child, a brother and a sister, a mother and a daughter. So storge is a natural kind of love. Then there's the eros type of love. And this is a love that is erotic. It is a love that is passionate love. It's a sensual or a sexual love. And it's a love that where you have attraction towards someone else. I know, especially in your younger years, younger people seem to fall really strong in the eros kind of love. And then especially that goes along with marriage as well. But there's a fourth kind of love, which is really, really, I have found in my own personal relationship that I had with my husband, is agape. And even the relationship I have with my kids and with my friends is agape. And agape love is actually noted as God's love. It's a love that gives. It's an unconditional love. It's a love that says, you know what, I'm going to love you and there's nothing you can do about it. It's a love, it's when you believe someone loves you. And again, it's a love that gives. So it is a great kind of love. It's the love that God had when he sent his son Jesus. But also I have found in the marriage union that even though all four of these loves are very important types of love, I actually have found that agape is the most outstanding and the longest lasting kind of love. Now, during this time of grief, facing grief with the loss of my husband and my son, you know what it feels like when you come into a house that's empty. I'll never forget the day I came home from the hospital when my husband Mike passed away. And I walked in the house and it was like, this was the quietest place, empty. I went into my bedroom and I literally sat down in our chair and I sobbed uncontrollably. I literally cried out to God and said to him, how am I going to make it without my husband? How am I going to do this? And I found myself just pound my leg a couple times and just said, I'm not going to be able to handle this. And I know we all have things in our life that's so important to us that we would think, how can I ever lose this? But I'm going to tell you something. Only by the grace of God have I been able to overcome. And I haven't totally overcome for sure. I'm still going through the grief process myself. But I'm going to tell you something. God's teaching me some things. And so I felt really led to take the time to share some of these things with you as I'm walking through the process myself. I'm going to tell you something. I still cry every day, if I'm be honest with you. The song comes on the radio, I find myself in tears. You know, someone comes up to you and loves on you and is checking on you, and tears well up inside of me. I still walk into the house and sense those empty moments, and I go, what am I going to do with myself? So I'm walking through the process. One day I was in my room and I was just sitting in my lazy boy chair, and Mike's chair was always across the room from me. And as I was sitting in my chair, again, I had my journal, and again, I do a lot of writing in this. And I picked it up, I opened it, and I sat down to write. And as I looked up, I looked at Mike's chair, and I thought, grief sits there now. Mike doesn't sit there anymore. Grief sits in his chair. Because every time I looked into the chair, I had an awful gut feeling that would rise up inside of me. So I had my pen and I started writing. And here's what I wrote. Here I sat in my room, looking at the chair he once sat in. Grief sits there now. Who is that grief? Grief is the love that I have for him. Then I wrote, how long will that grief stay? As long as I love him. Then you will experience grief a long time. Yes. As long as I'm alive, I will grieve when I look at his chair, because my love for him will never end. The greater the love, the greater the grief. Yes, true. Grief speaks volumes of my love. And as I sat there and I meditated on that grief and just how strong that it is and was, I got a real revelation about grief. And that is that grief is another kind of love. And you know, all my life, I only knew those 4 kinds of love. I only knew the love of a friendship, storge kind of love, and only knew the erotic love and the agape love, which seemed to be so profound in our lives that we allowed to grow among us. And it was honestly the love, agape love was the love that has lasted the longest in our relationship. When we learned about what agape was in the beginning, we took that agape along with us through our relationship all the way to the end. And even when Mike died, the day he passed away, I felt such agape love for him. So as I sat there in our room and I was looking at his chair, and I thought that 5th kind of love is a love that is painful. Because it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And so in that revelation, I thought, you know, if grief is love and love is painful, then from now on, when I recognize that pain, I can smile inside, because I can say to myself, that's love. Because I so love him and I so miss him. So now, in a good way, it's actually helped me. It's helped me to realize that love is painful, but it is love, and it is a love that misses him. I have about 3 quotes that I would like to quote from other individuals about grief. This is what Winnie the Pooh said. He says, how lucky I am to have had something that makes saying goodbye so hard. I said, wow, Winnie the Pooh, how great is that? And then here's another great quote. Absence is a house so vast that inside you will pass through the walls and hang pictures in the air. Wow. I mean, I could really identify with that, because you come into an empty house and you find yourself in a stair, and you certainly can hang the memories of your heart in empty air. And that was by Pablo Neruda. Here's a quote by Stephanie Harrison. There is a far worse death, a spiritual death, and that is separation from God. So in my meditation time, and especially in a time of dealing with grief and thinking about how hard it is to be separated from my husband and from my son, you know, I thought about, what if you were separated from God? How sad that would be. Some of us might find ourselves in that place right now, where we are separated from God. And my friend, that is death. So as we go through the journey, when we're trusting God for answers in our life, you know what? He gives them to you. He'll show you how to get through the processes in your life and in your relationships when you've lost a loved one and when you care really deep. I hope you would like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to leave your comments below, I would really appreciate that. And then if you have any kind of question that you would like for me to discuss on the area of grief, please let me hear from you.